in the cultural industry. A front row seat into the Creole cultural traditional and contemporary spinal cord, a microscopic Creole cultural analysis, highlighting achievements and triumphs, realizing dreams and goals, and showcasing the journey to excellence. Delving beneath the surface of Creole cultural history, a report on the character of the Creole culture. Dominica's International Creole Cultural Magazine presents Creole Heartbeat Hour on Q95 The Big Station, this and every Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. Be sure to tune in.
Yes, I. Sakai Malan. Prince Wadix. Prince Wadix. Prince Wadix. Prince Wadix. Pa pou an wete ba moun flen la yo manja kite la vi. Apresye sa yo ka fe kon yo apami nou jodi. La se mouve vale vie non nou ka konsife moun evi. Faut nous connaître pour meilleur, c'est pour nous tout ça bénéfice. For only wonders you done for us all, spreading the culture all over the world. For all the good thing that you done for God, that's what makes. We thanking you. We thanking you, brother. Trick. Acha lo moun bisou pasa ki chale yo point we ici. Faut nous connaître.
Good morning, Dominica. This is Creole Heartbeat with your host, Julie Roberts. Happy birthday to all who's celebrating their birthday today. It's June 3rd, the third day of the hurricane season. And I literally saw my name, well, almost my name on the on the lineup for the hurricanes. So I saw some really interesting names this year, you know. Mm-hmm. I saw Julia, I saw Ian, I even saw Gaston. Yes. So so it's the third day of the hurricane season, but it's a beautifully hot day in Roseau. Happy birthday to everybody. As I said before, this is Creole Heartbeat. I'm your host, Julie Roberts. Today we have two guests with us. We have Mr. Wadix and Mr. Gordon Henderson on the line with us. Good morning.
Good morning, bonjour. Est-ce que vous la faites?
Good morning. Voilà. Good morning to everyone. Bonjour à tout le monde.
Bonjour à tout le monde. Anyway, we continue with our great topic of Cadas-Calypso Month 2022. Cadas-Calypso Month is actually from the 1st of July to the 31st of July. And this is the second year that we're celebrating Cadas-Calypso Month in Dominica. And we plan for Cadas-Calypso Month to be a comprehensive celebration. You know, we are honoring, we have stage shows, we have summer camps. It's a very packed package for this July. So this morning we're going to speak to the two main guys in the background, and can I say you're in the foreground too? Because Wadix is all over and Mr. Henderson. So we're just going to have a few questions for them and just a little discussion so we can all know of the great things that's coming. So
once again, we are really privileged to, first of all, thank Mr. G and the QFM family for actually being a platinum sponsor for this year's Cadas-Calypso Month. As a matter of fact, from the time we spoke, everything fell in place as one of the major partners in the movement. It's the second year that we are planning this Cadas-Calypso Month. Cadas is a genre, to my mind, the greatest genre on the face of this earth. And what better person to introduce the genre and to talk a little about what the genre has done for Dominica. It has really made Dominica supreme. I remember once, at some point in time in my very early life, that Cadas-Calypso dominated the entire Caribbean scene. Number one in Jamaica, number one in TNT, the Virgin Islands, the Leeward, the Windward Islands, and number one in Radio Antilles. during those days. But who is better than the creator, one of the innovators? I call him the Godfather.
Mr.
Tell us a little
Henderson.
more about Cadas So bonjour, mon frère.
Well, bonjour, bonjour. Belle bonjour. Yeah. I'm saying that for Julie. It's very simple. Belle bonjour.
Yes, thank you. It's almost Jolie, so it's okay. I'll take it.
Fantastic. Well, Cadence Calypso, the idea of Creole Heartbeat launching a month last year is a fantastic idea because before that we had Cadence Calypso Day. And Wadix at the helm of Creole Heartbeat didn't think to go to Cadence Calypso weekend or Cadence Calypso week. You went straight out to Cadence Calypso month. And it was a tremendous success. And so much so that the government, the prime minister came out and said, I am with you next year. And next year meaning this year, 2022. And here we come with Cadence Calypso month in July this time. Now, besides the festival at the end of the month, it is very important to highlight and demystify some of the myths and some of the realities of Cadence Calypso. We are in a country where, sadly, people say that we have memoire pool. Now, what is memoire pool? It's the memory of a chicken. And for those who know something about fowls and chicken, you will hit the chicken for not coming there, and maybe 15 seconds later, the chicken will return. The chicken memory is rather short. So we as a society, we like to tell ourselves that we have memoir pool. And so sometimes we have to be reminded. And for those who are young, there's Google at their fingertips, and they can find out that once upon a time, not too long ago, Dominica created a music industry in Martinique, Guadeloupe, French Guyana, to a certain extent, Haiti, the Indian Ocean. And we need to be proud of that, and we need to perpetuate that. And this is what Cadence Calypso month is all about, to perpetuate the legacy.
Absolutely. And it was also very important for us, in particular this year. Last year, we sort of focused on the education aspect of it. We had several panel discussions in collaboration with the University of the West Indies and also Alliance Française de la Dominique. And what we did last year is some of the players and some of the areas that Cadence Calypso influenced. Out of Dominica, we tried to bring to the fore that particular influence and re-educated our nation as to how well Cadence did in those jurisdictions, in the French Antilles, in Haiti, in Louisiana, in the Seychelles, in Africa. And basically, it was an important aspect for us to know. Sometimes closest to you, you may take things for granted. But this genre has done wonders for Dominique. As a matter of fact, it is the foundation of the World Creole Music Festival. People hate when I say it, but if there was never a Cadence Calypso industry, I don't think Dominica would have the authenticity to say that we have a World Creole Music Festival, because we are now respected for that Cadence Calypso brand, what it did for Creole music in general, and what the players, those who actually are the exponents of the genre, really did for that particular genre, where Dominica's name, traveled far and wide. The late Jeff Joe would always have his Dominican bandana. Guys like Gordon and the Fitzroy Exile One, there were songs that made it to number one as far as possible across the globe. Even in Portugal, in Brazil, there were sounds making it to to the fore, where new Cadence Calypso music evolve from those particular this particular genre. This year we plan to have several components to climax with the Kadans Lipso Tribute Festival, and we'll be paying tribute to 4 people. On Friday 29th, we'll be paying tribute to the Midnight Groovers, basically the 2 brothers, Chubby Philip Mack and Marcel Comac. That's on the 29th. On the 30th, the late Jeff Joe. Nothing was really done for him in Dominica since his passing. Yes, in Guadeloupe, yes, in Martinique, but in Dominica, his hometown, nothing was done significantly. So we felt it was important to pay tribute to him and what he did for Dominica's music. And one of the major scientists behind the creation of Kadans Lipso music, Fitzroy Williams, together with Gordon Henderson and the rest of the brothers. It was very important for us this year to pay tribute to the kind of work that these guys did and how successful the success story of Kadans Lipso music this year.
And that's on the Sunday night.
And that's on the Sunday night.
Okay, so in the near future, are we looking at like a museum for Kadans Lipso? Because when you hear all these amazing things, yes, we're educating the people, we're having the festivals, the tributes, but what about a museum for the music?
Yes, Gordon, you could take the first knock on this one.
Well, there has been a lot of discussion about a museum. Creole Heartbeat, of course, a lot of brainstorming. We have people like Gregory Rabes, and I take the opportunity to extend condolences to Gregory, who is an integral part of the organization as well. Suba's Esprit. There's been a lot of talk about a museum. As a matter of fact, there is a gentleman called Philippe Pilotin, with whom I'll be talking on radio in French, for those who speak French, tomorrow from 3 p.m. Europe time. Practically for about 3 hours, we'll be talking about music and all of this thing. And this gentleman has a tremendous collection of musical items. And when I say musical items, it's from instruments, things that have disappeared, because today we listen to music via streaming, but before the vinyl, there were other forms, and then there were 8-track and cassettes and CDs, and he has all of this, even juke boxes. When I was a boy, we used to say Jude box, But he has juke boxes and all of that. And he is willing, as people do in the world of museums, you lend paintings. It's like the zoo. You would lend animals. Like if Dominica had a big zoo, probably Japan or China, wherever the panda comes from, they would lend us a panda. This gentleman is willing to lend us. Now, we can't do, I applaud Wadix and I am behind him 100%, but we need the collaboration of the authorities. And that does not mean that the authorities are not cooperative, but their machinery is much heavier than Creole Heartbeat. Wadix is a man on the spot, and he will fast track and do things almost immediately. But to work with the authorities, there's red tape, there's bureaucracy, and probably all of this is necessary, and that will take some time. But your question is very, very pertinent. We need a museum as soon as possible.
Also, I think very important is the recognition of Kadans Lipso, Gordon, by UNESCO. I mean, this has been a talking point for several years now. But I think now that we have something like a festival, I think we should, push forward to really getting the recognition that the genre deserves by UNESCO.
Yes, that it becomes recognized as an intangible heritage, an intangible heritage. But that, again, cannot be done by civilians. we need the cooperation of the authorities. And the authorities have on numerous occasions expressed eagerness. But as I said, sometimes we might have to speed up our bureaucracy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we haven't spoken about the lineup yet, but who are
No.
the supporting acts we have? Not the headliners, Wadix, don't jump ahead.
Mhm,
Who are the supporting acts for the
Even before we go into the festival itself, we'll be celebrating an entire month for Kadas Lipso music. And we have several components. For the first time, we'll be having a Kadas Lipso tent on the 1st, the 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd. It's similar to the Calypso tent, but in a different setting, more dining, relaxing, kind of ambiance, and listen to some good Kadas Lipso while the performers perform and intrigue you with the different compositions. That will be held at my mother's place. That's Kaimama Mwe, formerly Evergreen Hotel, wonderful ambiance. And we'll be doing that from the 1st of July, the 8th of July, the 15th.
So the Fridays, every
the
Friday in
Fridays.
July.
Yes, yes. Basically, to sort of build up to the final weekend. Also, very importantly, we want to have a summer camp. And this summer camp is where we integrate the young people into learning about Kadas Lipso music, also learning about other aspects of life. We have several facilitators in the names of Emil De Puta, we have Val Coffey, we have people from the Athletic Association, we have from the media, Curtis Matthew. Basically, to a 2-week camp at the Alliance Francaise from the 11th, where we actually inviting the kids. By the way, it was only $100 to register. And during that period of time, we'll also be having master classes. And we have already confirmed Cameron Pierre will be one of the tutors at this master classes. But there's so much going on. And the outside influences, we felt it was important to have a holistic camp, a summer camp, where the children on vacation or can come in and learn different areas of their development, and by experts, by people who have gone through and traversed through and really excelled in the various fields of life. So we are looking forward to this major camp. We have approached the Ministry of Youth to also partner with us on this one. We are also looking for other partners to this one, because it's important that we actually introduce the youth both here and in Guadeloupe, because I will give you the part 2, which we didn't get a chance to speak about the other day. We also will be having a major field trip where we will take these young people to an area where we can give them a full-fledged lecture on Kadas Lipso, on some of the icons, some of the legends, some of those who really excelled and promoted the genre. And then later in July, we are also extending an invitation for children from the French to come down to Dominica for a similar camp in a hotel facility where they can also learn about Dominica's Kadas Lipso music and learn about Dominica in particular in a holistic manner. We have the other components, such as the Linford John. It's very important we speak about him, because before Kassav was formed, he was asked to be the vocalist. I'm not sure how many people would be aware of that. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, DJ Slim. But Linford John is from Dominica, from Salisbury. He performed with the Naked Feet and for a little while with Mammoth, and later with Bilomen. He will be one of the acts for the Jeff Joe tribute. But before that, let us go to the 29th. You wanted some of the other acts besides the major.
Yeah, wait, before we go there, for the Calypso, the Kadas Lipso tent, do you already have the people who are going to be there, or we're inviting people to come be a part of it?
We already have the people. As a matter of fact, we are inviting people also who have songs. I can tell you there are new songs being written and composed, especially for this. We already contacted several of the NCCU performers to be at that tent and to perform their craft. We are also looking for some sponsorship for this, to at least allow the performers to have some form of employment. Mainly a $10 fee, just to a nice ambience. You can relax, have a few beverages, careless whispers with your other divine personality in your life, and relax. Listen to some good Kadas, live some music on a Friday. What better on a Friday night in July to really come down at my mother's house?
Okay. All right. So it's like the Creole in the park to Creole festival. So
Well,
already...
it's a different ambiance.
I know, but it's just like we already have the performers, and so you just come and enjoy.
Come and enjoy.
Not necessarily that you come and do it like how you like karaoke. You be a part.
No.
Okay.
For instance, one of the performers you may be with your special guy at the table, having a beverage, and they may come and sing a verse or two to you. Okay. That kind of setting.
Okay.
Not the formal stage and audience on one side, but a different setting. We plan to stream it live, so it can be more intimate. Okay. Because that's different with that slip. So it evokes different emotions, not just the party. There are the party sounds, but there are sounds of various topics that evoke different emotions. There are love, quite a bit of love. They are historic. There are different dance slips or songs. So that's very important. But some of the other acts, like you said, for instance, on the Friday night, we have people like Lobster. He's from South City Grande. He will be backed up by the Midnight Groovers. White Ferry, as a matter of fact, he's one of the champions, not reigning. As a matter of fact, he bowed out of the tournament as a monarch. That's White Ferry. They call him the Young Chubby. He'll be on the Friday night, backed up by the Midnight Groovers. We also have the first serenade on the Friday night. Also, Pato. For those who don't know Pato actually was the lead singer and writer of several of the songs for the Black Roots group during the boom of Kadas Calypso. He hails from Soufriere, Scott said. And also we have the Rsb Band, a very powerful, potent band. Back in the day, the first band to ever perform at the World Creole Music Festival. They'll be returning, especially to endorse Kadas Calypso. Most of them reside in Chicago, but they are coming down to endorse and to bring back their brand of Kadas Calypso, because they believe how important that was during the days of the Kadas Calypso Festival. On the Saturday, when we paid tribute to Jeff Joe, the other players during that night is Chris B. He's a Calypsonian and I'm a bus driver, but he was one schooled by Jeff. As a matter of fact, Jeff saw him as a little brother, and he'll be performing some of Jeff's songs. Likewise, Linford John, I said a while ago, will be performing with the All-Star Band, and also the Ecstasy Band. And I can tell you those days, they seem to be in a groove, building up tremendous momentum, really having people partying from their 2-hour set and rocking and grooving, and I can tell you, improving rapidly. And we are very privileged, after speaking to Mark Murray last evening, Ophelia Lagardam will be performing a 30-minute set on the Saturday night. So we are very proud to have our Kadas and Creole Queen on the Saturday night. On the final night, when we pay tribute to Fitzroy Williams, the other acts, the Signal Band, we have the Signal Band on with us. We also have Derek Peter from Mammoth. And those who may not know, Derek Peter is the guy that sung Mama Maje Weze. And this morning he actually spoke to me and told me he wants to sing a special song of Fitzroy dedicated to Fitzroy. We have Janet Azus, and she actually is the first woman who ever sang Kadas Calypso music. With the Bells Combo, she sang with Mantra, Dans C'est Ma Chérie, and she have a 15-minute set on that particular night. Jerry Lloyd, another prolific performer, will also be on. I mean, in terms of gospel music, I think possibly is the #1 in the Caribbean presently. Gilles Fontaine, another maestro. You know Gilles Fontaine? But you should know that badly. He have songs like Vaval and the Hit Tempo. And he will be on. He'll be in Dominica in June. These are some of the acts. And I can confirm we have a special on the Friday night from the Cicero Singers. Mm-hmm. So the Cicero Singers, what they're going to do is to inculcate, and I must big up Brother IP for this, because he brought that to my attention, that we can include a little folk in between, because that's part of our culture, to include the Cicero Singers, where they're going to be doing a medley of Kadas Calypso sounds in folk and their own style. So that's some of the acts, the supporting acts for the Tribute Festival.
Okay, thank you. Let me just go over to Mr. Henderson for a little bit so he doesn't forget he's with us. Are you with us?
I am very well there. Very present.
You've been dubbed the godfather of Kadas Calypso.
Not for much. Let me interrupt you. It's only
You've been dubbed
because,
that by Wadix.
but it is appropriate because I named the genre.
Okay.
And in Creole, when one would mispronounce your name, for example, they would say "Mon papa weon," meaning I am not your godfather.
I understand.
I named the genre, so it's appropriate to call me the godfather.
Okay, so saying that, so you've been dubbed the Godfather, and very often we wait until legends or people like you pass on for us to celebrate them. So, of course, I know you're excited about this, but how do you really, really feel to see we've been educated on Kadas? We're having a festival. We're having people coming as far as France, even paying their own way to get here just to celebrate something that is such a big part of you.
Well, this is a tough question because it puts in place patriotism in my answer. It is it's with, it is with great pleasure. Modern technology. I noticed the telephone went off. It is with great pleasure that I feel fortunate in my lifetime to see that the legacy of Kadas Lipso is being embraced little by little in Dominica. Now, I must explain what I mean by that. Kadas Lipso was created by Dominicans. The band that created Kadas Lipso was founded in Guadeloupe. Kadas Lipso itself was founded in Paris, France, 8,000 kilometers away. And the success of Kadas Lipso, one must remember that it was not the internet age where we would find out what's happening at any time, anywhere around the world. So Dominica, in fact, is slowly getting to know the reality. And that makes me very happy, extremely happy.
Okay. I didn't realize it was done. Thank you. And I think I've listened to the 25 episodes that you did about the how it came
History.
about. Yeah, the history of the Kada Slipso. And it was amazing to hear him saying that it happened so far away, and also the impromptu that you were performing, and then they wanted something that they could actually dance to, not just the norm. So sometimes you want to say something. Sorry, you going to say something?
No. I was just approving, underlining what you just said, because we found our identity not because of intelligence or our intellect. It happened by sheer coincidence. Yeah, so you're quite right. The way that it came about is amazing.
Yeah. So it just goes to show that, Kada Slipso is something that the people wanted and the people still want. That's where I was gonna go with that. So I'm really extremely happy and excited to, be a part of this all these years later and seeing that people are still trying to grow the art form.
Absolutely. One of the areas I think it's a new area that we plan to actually launch is the Kadas Lipso essay competition.
Mm.
And what we're looking for is people to write at least their first experience listening to Kadas Lipso. For instance, I'm 25 years old. I clearly recall my grandfather playing Kadas Lipso songs on a Saturday night and dancing. My favorite song was Coco Sec. Was that sort of thing. Where were you introduced and how were you introduced to Kadas Lipso? And it's important that you could, tell us in your own words in a composition, because the essay competition. We have a small prize. For the first prize, $500 AC, $300 AC, the second prize, and the third prize of $200. But what we want to do is to evoke your memory to the first time.
Nostalgic kind of
Yes,
thing.
you were introduced to Kada Calypso. If you heard it on the radio, for me, I heard it first in a boathouse. That's in Portersville. The guys, the fishermen, would bring the records and they would play the sounds of the French, Le Maxel and Le Gypsy and so on, some Haitian. And then I first heard the Kada Calypso. I said, wow. And then further, there was just one radio station in Dominica. Then the radio station exploded. But the important thing was it hit. And it was a major influence. It was a major hit around the Caribbean. We spoke to a gentleman from Barbados, a musician, a multi-talented, recognized musician from Barbados. And he said the first, as a matter of fact, what influenced him was a song by Gramax, Me Deba. And he termed it as a complete song, you know. So here is a Bajan who doesn't understand the language, who, you know, listened to the music on the radio. And when he heard the sound, there was something about Kada Calypso which influenced his career later on. I was also privileged, like I always say, at the Midnight Groovers performance at the United Nations and listening to Kada Calypso at the grounds of the United Nations through Brother Crispin Gregoire, who was then the ambassador, and the various nationalities. You know, people were amazed at the sounds that were coming from the Midnight Groovers. They assembled. I mean, it was their break time, so they assembled, and they were like amazement on their faces. And you know, this made me feel that there is something that we have. There is something about Kada Calypso. There's something about our music which we as Dominicans are actually taken for granted. That's why one of the major objectives is to try our best to preserve this particular genre. I made it my business to actually have every single Kada Calypso song that was ever created. We had a team with people like Brohim the Sandman. I must big him up. We were collectors, Francis Ole, and we went around the country actually paying $2 and $3 for records, the vinyls, and we would sit and actually on the inside of the vinyl would have an inner cover. And during Hurricane Maria, most of that would have been stuck on the vinyl itself, and we had to stay for hours. Otherwise, the needle would not rotate clearly and make sure that there was no dust on this. So this to us is something. Now let us move, further afield. When you look at the World Creole Music Festival and even the impact from the Kada Calypso music that allowed the French and even the Creole world to just agree that there's something about this place.
Yes.
Gordon may be able to tell you then that the name Dominica, there was a stigma during their time when they came over to Guadeloupe. You may be able to at least, refresh our memory and even educate us on what was it like then as a teenager and the stigma to Dominica then.
Yes, absolutely. First of all, one must recall that this Kada Calypso phenomenon began before Dominica became independent. This is important. Kada Calypso started just about 1974. Dominicans were considered as Englishmen quite appropriately because as a matter of fact, we all had British passports. Sometime after, we had associated, what was it called? It was a status where we were associated to England. But when Exile One started and Gramax and the other groups started coming in, we were British subjects. So in Martinique and Guadeloupe, our immediate neighbors, we were considered as Anglais, Englishmen. But when we came up with that kind of music it's obviously not English. It was in Creole from a linguistic standpoint. So that started to make a statement that Dominica was Creole, maybe politically English or British at the time, but we were Creole. And then 1978, we became independent. And that created a mini threat to Martinique and Guadeloupe as far as metropolitan France was concerned, because it was necessary in the collective narrative in Martinique and Guadeloupe. Maybe I'm going a little bit too deep, but it is important that people know these things.
That's okay.
The daily newspaper called France Antilles, which is one of our partners today with Creole Heartbeat on the festival, they used to have headlines claiming that Dominicans were poor, Dominicans were underachieved. They made independence look like a bad thing because Martinique and Guadeloupe being departments of France, they didn't want them to move towards independence. That would be revolutionary. So Cadence Slipso was a symbol of a cultural symbol that could not be equated by any other thing at the time. Very, very, very important. Let me just hasten to say that for this festival coming up, there are a number of individuals in Martinique and Guadeloupe, famous Martinicans, because you know that on the French football team, France is the world champion now in football. Some call it soccer. Many Martinicans and Guadeloupeans are part of the team. The number one tennis player of France is from Guadeloupe. There are numerous Olympic athletes. Many of these people have given me the assurance that they want to be there for this festival at the end of July, the Cadence Slipso, because they love the music. And to them, this is Dominican. So, yeah, go right ahead.
And very importantly, we chose July, Julie, because traditionally July is a month most Dominicans take the vacation. And we felt it was important to bring people in at a traditional time when people go out. So we felt after the jazz and in between the jazz and the World Creole Music Festival was an opportune time. Now, in Martinique and Guadeloupe, there's something called the La Grande Vacasse. That is the summer. It's a big thing. They party almost every day of the week, and they are more free up. And quite a bit of the people that live in Metropole, France, come down to the Caribbean, come down to Martinique and Guadeloupe, and looking for activities.
So we're looking about how many, what number of tourists we're looking at?
We're looking at trying to bring to Dominica between 2,000 to 3,000 visitors during that month of Cadence Slipso, to include the festival, the Emancipation Weekend of the festival. So by the promotion, most of these people may identify with the Cadence Slipso, especially the retired people coming down, knowing of this activity in Dominica. It may suit them. That is why we intend to go there and go and have a plan as to who are the major partners that we are partnering with in Guadeloupe and Martinique to get people to come down to the nature island, not only for Cadence, but to visit our island, to see, tourism, to interact. And yes, and then you have that whole window of an entire month.
Yeah.
So you can decide on whichever weekend you may choose to come that may suit you, but most of all, come for the festival, come for the Emancipation Weekend, which is a major thing in Guadeloupe. So Gordon, a lot of you maybe want to touch on the French.
Before we go to Mr. Gordon, can we go to Mr. Gordon on the system? So we'll be right back.
À présent, nous allons attaquer un morceau, Akiaka, ça va représenter l'année de la femme. Attention les amis, c'est la nouvelle forme, il faut pas être surpris. L'année de la femme, qui travaille toute la journée, conduit camion, l'homme qui a tout mangé, et garder les bébés. Yo décidé pour faire l'armée, grimper poto là, voler avion, kembe voler là, acheter 4 cinémas, payer restaurant, bonne chance pour 75, aussi 76.
Yeah, you're back with us. We're sitting with Mr. Gordon Henderson and the Wadix, speaking about the Calypso month 2022, July 1st to 31st. So, Mr. Henderson, before we left, we were directing a question to you. I have a big one. When I listened to the documentary, the first time you guys had to sign with what we call the
Major,
record company.
major company.
I think we're not hearing Mr. I'm not hearing him. Are you still with us?
I'm here. I can see you and I can hear you.
Okay. So you presented an English record and a French record, or a Creole record and an English record. At what point, because even up to this day, like the younger generation, we don't speak a lot of Creole. We're trying, we have people like Wadix come out, but we still do not speak a lot of Creole. At which point did you decide, because it was important to you at that point to have an English record? I don't know if it had to do with the whole Dominican and how you were perceived, but at which point did you decide to make it fully Creole or make it predominantly Creole?
Yeah, well, this is a story, and I'd really encourage people to listen to this on YouTube, the 25 episodes, because what I try to explain is most of the artists at the time, and as you quite rightly said, even today, many people in Dominica tend to shun away from the Creole language for reasons that linguists call diglossia. Diglossia being a situation when there are two languages in the same society and people have a tendency to make one superior to the other. So we have this socio-linguistic problem in Dominica of diglossia, where we, for many reasons, tend to believe that English is superior to Creole. So we suffered from that, and we wanted to be what Rihanna became many years ago, English speaking, and hit the so-called international crossover to mainstream. So we wanted, and besides, the only reason there was Exile 1 is because I had 2 hits in English by myself with Levi King of Guadeloupe. And I got the musicians to come across to join me to pursue my career in English. But unfortunately, or I should say fortunately, when we made these 2 records, one in English because we thought that English was it, and one in Creole that we made, well, okay, they want Creole, we'll give them Creole, besides they're paying us to do it. The Creole is the one that took over. So the Creole took over in the dance hall, it took over as a record, and it became a worldwide phenomenon. And it's important to know how it began. This is how it began.
All right.
So we didn't make a choice. We didn't make a choice. Creole chose us.
Yeah. And I think it's so important that when you're going to love something, celebrate it, you need to know its creation, you know where it's coming from. So just here, that's why I'm saying it's such a proud moment to see that the genre is being celebrated when we still have you here alive, it's an important thing. Okay, so we are celebrating some big names. How did we come about? Why did we choose these big names?
Are you speaking about the three big names?
The three big
Yes,
names.
yes,
So
yes.
tell us why.
Well, first of all, previous to all of this, Creole Heartbeat, and I should say Wadix is almost synonymous, celebrated Ophelia, so that's the female, as Mama Creole, and a number of artists, male artists, as Papa Creoles, different papas. And we thought that when we were brainstorming about the recognition, we thought that one, Midnight Groovers is considered in Dominica much more than, to me, Exile One or Gramax or anybody. It is Dominica's Cadence-Lypso group. As a matter of fact, Midnight Groovers, I'll go very quickly. Midnight Groovers has embraced one category of Cadence-Lypso. That is the very up-tempo, tuk, tuk, tuk. The other day, I was listening to an interview with Wadix on the radio, and the interviewer, a fine young lady, she defined Cadence-Lypso with a cowbell, tuk, 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 tuk. But this is not true. This is just one aspect of the wide spectrum of Cadence-Lypso. But Midnight Groovers is the undisputed kings of Cadence-Lypso in Dominica. Unfortunately, they are not well known all over the Creole world, unfortunately. However, they had already made up a decision that they didn't want to perform anymore. They didn't want to travel anymore. Wadix and myself, just before the COVID, wanted to take them to the Indian Ocean. And it was a lot of talk, and Chubby is afraid of planes, he thinks. Yeah, and
Who don't want to leave his cow?
yeah, he has his call to change. And so this, and I'm not speaking about life and death, because it could happen to any of us at any time. But if we have to be realistic, we are coming to the final moments of seeing one of the legendary groups, so you cannot leave Midnight Groovers out. Now, Jeff Joe has made a significant name for himself as well, not only in Cadence-Lypso, but as an artist. He tried the Rihanna thing before Rihanna with Kool and the Gang and so on. I mean, he's been in, out, Zouk and so on. And our artists who have gone to the great beyond, as some people say, we cannot forget them. So there was no Papa Creole for Jeff in the past. So this is his Papa Creole. And Fitzroy Williams is, by all means, some of the hits of Exile One were co-written with Fitzroy Williams. And we had a very peculiar way of writing when we write together. Is he would come with what we call harmonies, the chords, and my job would be to put the melodies and the lyrics. That doesn't mean that he doesn't know how to put melodies and lyrics as well. But we did it And when we did it, it worked fine in a number of songs. Singers, people have the tendency of identifying groups with the singers. I happen to be the singer, although I have been the keyboardist, and some people don't know that, on a number of albums when Fitzroy was absent. But Fitzroy was never at the front singing. So a lot of his talent could be overlooked. He deserves to be at the front. So that made a choice, the number 3 choice. And there are many more. There are many more. I think of Halibut. Halibut is someone, but I think that Creole Heartbeat has many years of
Yes,
celebration to
yes,
make.
yes. I was definitely going to say that. And also, we know that you're doing some marketing in the French countries because they are big. They're an integral part of having this Creole Kadas Calypso tribute. So they're a big part of it. So tell us a little bit about the marketing.
Well, the marketing will comprise, as usual, radio, television, print press, social media, and these days people talk about influencers. So all of these people will get together. So it's the usual multimedia over there. But one of the things that we're going to do that has not been done too much for the World Creole Music Festival, for example, is to attract celebrities. And from Martinique and Guadeloupe, we don't want to be calling out any names now because some of these celebrities are not fake celebrities. They are real celebrities because of their worldwide status, and they sometimes need security. They need certain things. But when these people travel to Dominica, they attract the press. And the press will write, the press will comment. So this is one angle that we're introducing with the Tribute Festival that has not been done in a wide scale before. So look out for some celebrities. And I'm speaking about the real ones.
Okay, not people like Wadix. Wadix?
Or me.
No, you're a celebrity, man. We were just listening to your music, and I don't want to call anybody's name, but Slim said, "Oh, but he sounds different when he's singing." You have that fine voice, really fine singing voice.
Well, we just want to, so there are quite a bit of people involved in this movement that we just want to touch. People like Ibrahim Brahim, really behind this movement, Dr. Damian Dublin, Calvin Senator Esprit, Jerry Williams, the co-founder of Creole Heartbeat. And he's recuperating, but I must say 24/7, this man is at it, trying to get stuff together, get us mobilized and prepared. Gregory Rabes, Sobers Esprit. So we have a culmination of a widespread. One of the things that we really want to also highlight, and we have been getting quite a bit of calls, is our local art and craft at
Yes.
the fair, because we try to make it a day and a night event. We also want to have Creole Cuisine Fair, also videos of the Creole icons be played at a special booth. We also have an art booth because we're working with the Waiti Kubuli Artists Association. So we have a special art booth and also memorabilia of some of the artists. We want to actually have this on display. So it promises to be a whole-scale event. There are some fringe events that we want to actually remind our listeners about. You can look out for the homage to Kadas Lipso by Michael Henderson. That's guided for the Fortune Hotel for the 9th at the Fortune Hotel. I think it's $170, dinner inclusive, different sort of ambiance. You can also look out for a special event where, as we pay tribute to Eka, Mighty Eka from Sufria Scott said, has been at it, playing and preserving the Kadas Lipso art form. Likewise, Big A, a promoter of Creole music, will be doing that in the south. Rsb returns, and they also want to do 2 concerts, one in Roseau and one in the north before the actual festival. So quite a bit of fringe events besides the summer camp, besides the Dance Calypso tent that will be ongoing. So we're really promising, July to be the greatest,
a comprehensive Calypso month.
the greatest summer ever.
Yeah.
The greatest Creole summer ever, leading up like a trailer to the World Creole Music Festival.
Which is Emancipation Weekend.
But just before I leave, I just want to really say thank you to QFM for being on board as a partner. And I've really been rotating the advertisements and giving us the opportunity to actually disseminate the information that's really important to their multitudes globally. And we really hope to augment the promotion very soon, because we really want Dominica to be hype, and we really want to bring people together, the Creole world, the Creole people transcend on the Creole capital, Roseau, for the entire month of July.
All right, thank you. I don't think next year can be better than this.
You never know. I mean, there are quite a bit of artists who are not on this year, I can tell you.
That we're, and there are tons of people that we can highlight next year, but that comprehensive we have from art class to cuisine, Creole cuisine. When I hear Creole cuisine, that's my stop, food.
Mm-hmm.
But we have all these things. It's such a comprehensive package. Job well done. Mr. Henderson, before we leave, is there anything else you would like to say?
Well, all I'd like to say is a big thank you. Big thank you to everyone, including sometimes when I hear people say Mr. G, I think they're talking about me, but thank you, Mr. G. And the audience. We're looking forward, because Calypso is our thing.
Absolutely. Nous avons parlé de Creole avant nous quitter là. Nous avons dit spécial merci pour tout le monde, toute radio. Nous avons fait ça tout le monde là pour le festival là, le 29, le 30, le 31 juillet. Pour moi là, ça, messieurs, nous avons amusé qu'on nous, Calypso tent, nous avons popé à nous. Préparez-vous, messieurs, mesdames, nous avons pas fait. Merci à pile, Mr. G, merci à pile, QFM Massive. DJ Slim, #1 in Dominica. Merci à pile, ou j'arrête mon frère. Cherry, for that's my son, that's my adopted son, DJ Slim. Until next week, another Creole Heartbeat. Thank you very much, Julie. The final words are yours.
Oh, no, you did it. You did it. Right? Bye.
Il y a un petit boucan qui blague, pas comprendre.
Dominica and the Creole world, get ready for the greatest manifestation of Creole expressions. July 2022, Cadence Calypso Month. Creole Heartbeat presents the 2nd edition of Cadence Calypso Month. Look out for fringe events, panel discussions, masterclasses, documentaries, interviews, workshops, memorabilia. The first ever Cadence Calypso tent and more. Culminating with the Cadence Calypso Tribute Festival at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium, Fort Roseau. Friday, July 29th. Tribute to the kings of Cadence Calypso music, Midnight Groovers.